Is watering your lawn on a daily basis really the best thing for it? Well, Kyle, you always tell me to water my yard, so if I water on a daily basis, that should be the best thing for my yard, right? Not necessarily. So I'm going to talk today about maybe some common misconceptions about how often you should be watering your yard. I have a few people, a few customers of mine who water their yard on a daily basis, and they just constantly have problems and issues in their yard. And I try to tell them that in the nicest way possible that you're causing a lot of these issues by watering on a daily basis. So I'm going to talk about a few of the really big reasons why you don't want to water daily. And the first of them being is watering on a daily basis creates a shallow root system. And that may be hard for you to believe, but by watering daily for short periods of time, say 15 to 20 minutes, you are creating a shallow root system. Well, okay, so what's the answer to that? Water daily for long periods of time? Well, no, that's not the answer either. If you water daily for an hour or more than an hour, you're just creating swamp-like conditions in your yard, which is what you don't want. So my suggestion is to water deeply once or twice a week. And what I mean by watering deeply is 25 to 30 minutes per zone. And if you do that once or twice a week, you'll get better results than watering on a daily basis for 20 minutes per zone. So watering deeply allows the roots of your grass to grow deeper. So I'm going to show you an example of a house that I went to that they water every single day in the morning, which the morning is the best time of day to water. So they've got that going for them. So that's the one thing that they're doing correctly. But they have all sorts of issues in their yard, which brings me to my next point. Another problem that you'll find if you water daily is that you'll end up with more weeds in your yard. Weeds like nutsedge, some people call it nutgrass, but nutsedge will only grow in wet conditions. So if you water your yard daily and you have a lot of nutsedge in your yard, you may be causing your own weed problems there. So I can almost guarantee you, if you watered your yard twice a week, you would have so much less nutsedge in your yard. Nutsedge won't grow in dry conditions, but you don't want super dry conditions, but you also don't want to overwater your yard so much that you create nutsedge. This is what nutsedge looks like. If you are unfamiliar, they grow from little bulblets in the ground, which are very hard to pull up and get rid of. Another reason you don't want to water daily is because of fungus and disease problems that you'll run into. Brown patch being one of them. Well, we call it large patch down here in the South, but large patch and brown patch are the exact same disease. And you want your lawn to dry out during the day. This one example that I'm going to show you, their yard stays wet all day long. So what that's doing is just oversaturating the soil, creating these swamp-like conditions. So daily watering causes a shallow root system. So essentially the roots are growing closer to the surface of the ground. This makes your lawn more susceptible to drought damage. So if you water daily and then later in the summer when things dry out, do you wonder why your yard is one of the first ones in the neighborhood to turn brown due to those drought-like conditions? Well, you've essentially created a shallow root system by watering daily. Lawns with a shallow root system are always the first one to see drought damage. So to sum everything up, I would encourage you to water once or twice a week deeply, 25 to 30 minutes per zone. Start out once a week doing that, especially in the springtime. Just water once a week, 25 to 30 minutes per zone, and see what that does to your yard. If you're not happy with the color or the results of that, then bump it up to two days a week. No more than that. So if you water deeply twice a week, that's really all you need. Something else to consider is your water pressure, or maybe the type of sprinkler heads that you're using. So your 25 to 30 minutes may be completely different than someone else's 25 to 30 minutes. So if there's a way to check your water pressure, if you have low pressure, then you can bump your time up a little bit. So just double check that. In general, lawns need approximately 1 inch of water per week. Now, brand new sod is an exception. Water is your best friend if you have brand new sod. It's okay to water daily. You don't need any fertilizer or weed control or anything like that on new sod. Just watering will help that develop a root system to get it growing. But I want to show you an example of what overwatering can do to a yard. Now they do have this little dip here in the back of the yard where water gathers. A lot of water runoff, which ends up creating ditch-like conditions here. But watering on a daily basis is really not necessary. This time of year, it is springtime. The grass is still trying to fully green up. But in tight areas like this, it just ends up getting too much water. A lot of these trees and shrubs may end up getting a root rot at some point. So you don't want to create marsh-like conditions in your yard, and by watering on a daily basis for 30 minutes to an hour is really too much, especially for this time of year in the spring where we're getting decent rainfall. I would suggest, just once a week, twice a week at the most this time of year. Now, as summer comes and temperatures start heating up and we're not getting as much rain, you can definitely water more. But even then, I'd say 3 times a week is the max of what you really want to be watering. Another reason you don't want to overwater is you end up creating some weed issues yourself. Nut sedge or nut grass is an example of a weed that will only grow in wet conditions. So I've been spraying the nut grass in this yard, but if you don't want nut sedge in your yard, back down on watering. Nut sedge will not grow in dry soil. So it's kind of a fine line of, you have to water, but don't overwater. Watering on a daily basis for more than 30 minutes per zone is just too much. I mean, look at the footprints that I'm creating here. Just pools of water that gather up in the corners here. I would definitely suggest backing down on the watering here. And here we have so much water that the push mower has created ruts in the yard, which is something else that you don't want. Let me get this gate closed. Now, if you see a lot of moss in your yard, that is another sign that there's just too much moisture that's being trapped. All this moss that's growing here is a combination of too much water, but also soil compaction. And the pH of this soil may be a little low. So applying some lime and raising the pH of this area could help get rid of this moss. But this is just way too wet. Also in this corner, it's a bit shady here. But look, this is just swampy, and water just gathers here throughout that crevice of the yard. But if you're creating ruts in your yard, go ahead and back down on watering. That's just too much water. And I understand. I know you want your grass to green up first, but watering on a daily basis is really not the key to doing that. I have another video out that tells you what you need to do if you want your lawn to be the first one in the neighborhood to green up. So I would suggest watching that. But again, just as a reminder, You really don't have to water on a daily basis. This grass will do just fine watering twice a week.